Deutschland droht wirtschaftlich abzusteigen und große
Germany is at risk of economic decline and losing large parts of its industry and prosperity. The latest economic figures are alarming. I must honestly say, the public discussion about it, with its sugarcoating and glossing over, really reminds me of the final days of the GDR. We cannot continue like this in our country. World politics is now being conducted without us. We are burdened with a chancellor, ambitious as he may be, who simply cannot do it, and who is damaging the reputation of our country in the world. And in a situation where we have so many problems in the country, they see their greatest future task in this, to make Germany the greatest military power in Europe again. No, it cannot go on like this, and it will not go on like this. And not least, to change this, we have found it ourselves. And that is our task. And that is our task. And of course, there are some who say every nation has the government it deserves. But I must honestly say, no, the voters in Germany do not deserve this government, because they probably didn't even vote for it if the counting were finally done correctly. No new election is needed to send Chancellor Merz packing. It would be enough if the votes were counted correctly. And that's why I hope that Karlsruhe will clear the way for it because it's also a misery, the state in which the opposition is in the Bundestag. So, on the one hand, the left and the Greens apparently see their most important task as always covering Chancellor Merz's back whenever he needs it. And then the only relevant opposition comes from a party that the current rearmament and the current social cutbacks don't actually go far enough, because that is ultimately the position of the AfD. And I think that is not a good situation. That is also why we need to get involved and address that. We will continue to work on it. The Brandenburg Ministry of Health advocates positions on the assessment of the COVID-19 response, the militarization of the healthcare system, or the WHO that are not found in any other health ministry. Thanks to our participation in the government, we have both countries as the only ones in the Bundesrat refused to approve the massive rearmament and the arms deliveries to Ukraine. That was important because we fulfilled election promises with that. And I am grateful that we did it that way. But it is also true that the leeway at the state level is narrow. And for a party that is so young and so is relatively inexperienced as we are, it is additionally difficult to make optimal use of these opportunities. We have more tanks, we have more fighter jets. But the truth is a war against Russia will not be decided by the number of soldiers. It will not be decided by the number of tanks and drones. It will be not fought with tanks and drones at all. It will be fought with missiles because it will escalate into a nuclear conflict. Every serious military person knows that, because the Russians are conventionally inferior to us. That's why a war with Russia is neither winnable nor manageable for us, but it is the end. And we must fight to ensure that it never becomes reality. And when I read that Mr. Merz announces that he is not afraid of a war against Russia or with Russia, one can only say that we must seriously worry about his state of mind, but also about our country. And that is why I am truly glad that young people in Germany are now also defending themselves, that there is a student strike against conscription. And we fully support you because it is urgently necessary to have resistance here, and that there is resistance. And unfortunately, this resistance is almost non-existent in the Bundestag. The green latte macchiato militarists even surpass the Union in their newly found enthusiasm for weapons. The AfD is also part of the fan club of the arms lobby, and on the other side, the left, how honest is that, talks about disarmament, but then approves this huge, greatest armament in German history in the Bundesrat. So that is just a disaster, and also wants to hunt Russian tankers in the Baltic Sea, which would in fact be a declaration of war on Russia. So no, also because we are the only consistent voice for peace and diplomacy, and because we will always remain so. You don't end wars with weapons, you end wars with talks. And we need disarmament and arms control, not more confrontation. And that's why it was right that we found it ourselves.